So I've been seeing some chatter about some investors being upset about SCHD's year-over-year quarterly dividend being 3% lower in Q2 of 2026. To be clear, SCHD's quarterly dividend is important, but focusing on it alone, that's you being distracted by the noise rather than focusing on the yearly aggregate dividend yield, which is the signal. It's akin to a bodybuilder being overly focused on hourly protein intake rather than aggregate daily protein intake. As long as a sufficient amount of protein is ingested daily, over 2 to 4 meals, the hourly peaks and valleys are largely irrelevant. They matter, but they don't matter as much as that total intake does. Bodybuilders shouldn't obsess over every hour of protein intake while ignoring total daily protein intake. And dividend investors shouldn't obsess over every quarterly payment while ignoring annual yield. That's short-term, undisciplined thinking, and that's not for us. We're focused on long-term sustainability, and mentally, we're built like hard-knock rocks. Most studies suggest roughly 1 gram per pound of body weight per day for people building or maintaining muscle via resistance training. And I know I'm mixing modalities here because I go from gram to pounds, 1 gram to 1 pound, but that's an elegant way to say it. It's simple for most people to understand. Of course, on the screen, I'll probably just put up gram to kilogram, but the easiest way for you to think about what's suggested is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And actually, that's the sweet spot for pretty much everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a younger person, older person, male, female, if you're athletic or more sedentary. Of course, you would adjust that up or down a little bit depending on your lifestyle and what your objectives were and your activity level. But all in all, that 1 gram per pound of body weight is the way to go. It's a little bit more important for older people, actually, and I'm older, so I'm almost 60. And as you get older, you start running into anabolic resistance. And so I'm not going to build muscle like I did when I was younger. And so older people need a little bit more protein per pound of body weight. But for us today in general, we're going to stick with this scenario, and we're going to talk about the muscle building aspect in conjunction with SCHD. Additionally, what the research also consistently shows is that total daily protein intake is the primary driver of muscle growth, while meal timing and distribution are secondary refinements. And that's not what you hear a lot. You hear a lot about meal timing and the distribution of the meals and all of those things. But those are the secondary refinements. Those things matter only after you've gotten in the adequate protein intake that you need for that day. Once you've achieved whatever the target is, then those other factors become very important, but not before. But if you hit the total while scaling back the number of meals to just 1 or 2, that same impact is greatly reduced. It's minimal. There are even studies out there that show that muscle building protein synthesis is greater with 3 meals per day rather than 6. So meal timing and distribution are optimization variables only after daily intake is adequate. Many investors often panic over 1 weak quarter, even though the annual payout ends up meeting or exceeding expectations.
Think of the value of compounding. Get yourself out a little compound interest table and see that at 7%, money doubles every 10 years. And then it doubles again, and then it doubles again, and then it doubles again. And by the time you're at retirement age, if you start investing when you're 50, it's multiplied, you'll have to tell me, but let me say 35 or 40 times over. Unbelievable, maybe even more than that. I mean, don't make mistakes at the start, pick a good fund, and hold it through thick and thin.
SCHD experiences this investor grumbling as well, and it does so quite frequently. Pretty much every time a dividend comes out and it doesn't hit or exceed what it did last time, it's a problem with folks. But I think most of that churn is just coming from people who have a trading mindset, or they're inexperienced new investors who, even though they lack the seasoning of experience, they still tend to get salty when peppered with dividend declines. Yeah. Okay. Here, one underperforming quarter may be followed by 2 overperforming quarters. The underperformance is not trivial, and what's really important is, did the annual yield hit an acceptable level? That jagged line of quarterly dividend yields contains necessary data points nestled within conspicuous noise, for sure. But that noise is simply part of the natural order of the investing phenomenon. Don't get distracted by that noise. The signal is the annual trend line. Your body doesn't build muscle by averaging your protein every hour. It responds to your overall nutrition over time. Dividend portfolios work similarly. Quarterly payments are important because they're how the annual income is delivered, but they aren't the final score. One workout won't make you fit, and one heavy meal won't make you fat. Whether you're fit or fat depends on your habits and your consistency with them. Whether building muscle or building passive income, people often become obsessed with the fluctuations instead of the accumulation, and I really like that. I'm going to say it again. When building muscle or building passive income, people often become obsessed with the fluctuations instead of the accumulation. Bodybuilders win by consistently providing adequate muscle building stimulus and meeting their daily recovery and nutrition targets. Dividend investors win by consistently funding and growing their income-generating portfolio and not interrupting its reinvestment or compounding.
Compound interest is the interest you earn over the principal and interest accrued over the previous period. In simplistic form, we say this is interest on interest.
That's a Charlie Munger thing. He was big on that. If compounding is working for you, don't interrupt it, man. Just let it work. Let it do its thing. In both cases, the macro view beats overreacting to every short-term peak and every emotionally exaggerated valley. Good luck on your efforts to avoid selling your trees of high-quality dividend stocks just because a normal breeze is rustling the leaves. And thanks for watching.